Late Night Health continues. Hour 2. I'm Mark Alyn. During the last part of the show, we're going to talk about Divina water. There's a big study coming up, a clinical study on the water, how it works with the body, why it's good. And we'll talk about tap water. We'll talk about bottled water. We'll talk about all kinds of waters here on Late Night Health. Right now, we go to Canada, just over the border of Buffalo, New York, and we're going to speak with Sherry Torkos. She's been on the show before. She's a holistic pharmacist, and we're going to talk about the Knights of the Round Table. Did the Knights of the Round Table, to your knowledge, Sherry, did they get the flu and colds and stuff?
Oh, I'm sure they did. We do know that the flu viruses have been around for decades and decades or millennia. So it's just, now today we have better ways of fighting some of these diseases that people would die of quite easily back then.
What is a holistic pharmacist? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so I practice pharmacy with more of a holistic focus. So I am trained as a conventional pharmacist. I have a Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy degree. I went to school in Philadelphia. And the type of practice that I am more involved with is one that utilizes natural medicines along with conventional medicines. So when people come to talk to me, I like to advise them on maybe nutritional strategies, supplements, taking more of a holistic approach rather than just, dispensing pills to, try and put Band-Aids on problems.
So more of an integrative approach.
That's right. Integrative is a good term for it, yes.
Right. Well, right now here in the United States, there is a big push for flu vaccines. How do you feel about flu vaccines in general? And then let's take a look at, say, an older audience, say somebody over 50 or 60. Should they take a flu vaccine?
Well, the flu vaccine is not 100%, but it is generally recommended as one of the methods for protection against influenza. It's something that, the CDC has been issuing some very strong concerns about the fact that vaccination rates are down. We know that a lot of people today have concerns about getting vaccines, and I think there are some legitimate concerns with respect to side effects and risks, but really this is the only mass tool that is available for protecting against flu, and there's certain populations that I think are more vulnerable, such as those that have immune system disorders, chronic diseases, heart disease, diabetes, the elderly. Those are people I think that really need to consider getting a flu shot, talking to their doctor about that, and taking other measures as well, because as I mentioned, the flu shot isn't 100%. Some years the highest success rate we might see would be 50, 60%, and that's on a really good year.
Right. I think last year was only 18%, 20%.
Yes, last year it was very low, and so again, it's not absolute. It's one of the tools in our chest, and I think that when I'm talking to people, I like people to have that discussion with their doctor. I do think it's an important consideration, but I realize that there are some people that are averse to getting the flu shot. For otherwise healthy people, you still need to be taking measures to protect yourself, and whether that's through different supplements that can help support the immune system, and making sure that you're doing the basics as well, eating right, getting enough sleep at night, all the things that are important for the health of our immune system.
And washing hands.
Yeah, exactly. The most basic is something that I'm always talking to my son about, because children, of course, are not always great when it comes to hand hygiene. And they weren't great on hand hygiene during King Arthur's time either in the No, they were not.
Right.
No, and people would eat with their hands more so, whereas we don't. Most people today eat with utensils. But if you look at back, in the Middle Ages, people had there were certain things that people did that they didn't realize at the time were actually helping to protect them against viral infections and illness. And one of those really interesting measures that they took would be using silver spoons or silver forks, or drinking water in silver cups or silver flasks. And that's because silver has naturally inherent antiviral, antibacterial properties. And, we've heard that phrase, born with a silver spoon in your mouth, and it wasn't until I was doing some digging into this topic and that I realized that there's a deeper meaning to that phrase. We always think about it meaning somebody who's wealthy and spoiled, but those that were born with that silver spoon in your mouth also had other advantages in that they were getting the benefits, the health benefits that silver offered, and so therefore those people tended to be healthier and have less illness.
There's a supplement. It's a liquid silver. It's a tincture of silver that people use, right?
Yes. Colloidal silver.
Colloidal
That's right.
silver, colloidal gold is another one. But the silver has been shown to be effective against bacterial and viruses, both?
Yeah, it's very powerful, and it's interesting because silver has been used, again, going back to the Middle Ages and before, even to the time of Hippocrates. And when we look at the ability of silver to help support our health, it really is quite remarkable. But there was really some interesting innovation that occurred in the late 90s that brought silver, what I would say, to the next level, and that was when there was an entrepreneur, a businessman named Stephen Quinto, and he actually discovered a technology that could take silver, larger particle size of silver, and make it into super tiny particle size. He had a way of isolating the silver and dispersing it in a super purified form of water, and found that it made it more bioactive. It would be better absorbed and utilized by the body. And his product that he created, it's bioactive silver hydrosol. You'll see it's called Sovereign Silver. That is actually the most popular, most widely used silver product today, for good reason, because it offers those advantages over some of the more crude formulas of silver that were used, decades ago. So it's really interesting to me, I think, as a pharmacist, how technology, we've taken some of these things that we used in the Middle Ages and been able to use modern science and technology to improve upon the benefits of a product like silver and make it, a powerful asset in helping us to, fight infection and stay healthy.
Is that something that somebody should take as they feel like they're coming down with something, or is that something that they should take consistently as a preventative?
It can be taken in both ways. The liquid, so you can get the Sovereign Silver liquid, which people take, say, a teaspoon or so a day for prevention and maintenance. And then I know some people that will take it just at the onset of their feeling run down, or they feel like they're on the verge of catching something, to help give their defenses an extra added boost. I carry it with me, and when I'm going on the airplane, I always give myself a good dose of it before I get on the airplane, because we know when you're sitting in that environment where you're breathing that recirculated air and all the viruses and bacteria and germs that are circulating around, it's just not a healthy environment. So I take it in that way. There's also topical products as well, and silver has some pretty remarkable benefits for skin health as well. I mean, historically, in conventional medicine, we've used silver to treat burns. It's used to prevent bacterial infection and to treat inflammation. There's prescription products that doctors use today in emergency rooms when somebody comes in with a major skin burn. And we also see formulas that you can get over the counter in the health food store. First aid, the Sovereign Silver First Aid Gel is great. You can put that
What
on.
about for itching? I came in this morning to the studio and was rubbing up against the door jamb and everything else because my back was itching. And I know what it's from. It's dry skin. I should be drinking more water. I'm trying to do that. It's a little bit difficult for me. But would that product help with anti-itching?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, silver is really known for its ability to reduce inflammation, to fight infection, things like that. I would suspect that skin itching, dry skin, we know, is one of the big contributors to skin itching. And so simply, trying to get more water, get more healthy fats in your diet, those would be some of the first-line approaches that I would try.
The in the Middle Ages, people did not live as long as they do now. I think the average age is like 76 now, 74, 76, 78. And I don't think people made it to 40 or very rarely made it that old.
That's right. Yeah, 40, 50 was seen as old. But, when you think about the diseases that people suffered with back then that now have been eradicated, typhoid fever and cholera, dysentery, people don't succumb to those diseases. It's very rare in our developed nation because we do have vaccination and we have better hygiene standards. But even some of the other diseases that at the time were not known to be rooted in nutritional deficiencies, things like scurvy, which was later discovered to be a disease that people developed as a deficiency of vitamin C.
An orange a day will take it away, right?
That's right, an orange a day, that vital vitamin C. And it wasn't until the Pilgrims and the early explorers were introduced to cranberries and that they discovered that was protective against vitamin C deficiency or scurvy, that they were able to, not eradicate it, but certainly...
Sherry, we're going to take some time out, and when we come back, we will return. I want to talk about the bubonic plague, because I've always wanted to say that word on radio. Join us at latenighthealth.com. We'll have some information on the website about Sherry, and probably a pretty picture of her as well. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Don't go away. More coming up here on Late Night Health.
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. You are a beautiful masterpiece of celestial art. God sculpted your body, painted your portrait, and forged your blessed soul from the stardust. As with any masterwork, you may weather with age or get damaged a bit along the way. But doesn't that add to your beauty and mystique? Don't ever change who you are. You're loved and cherished in heaven just the way you are. Of all the challenges you've faced in life, you can be only made better for them. The greatest masterworks on earth have all been ravaged by the tests of time, only to become more revered in their inherent beauty. Always know you're one of God's masterworks meant to shine in that same way.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com.
The stigma around mental health disorders and suicide is still very strong in our culture. It's an uncomfortable topic for many of us, and yet it's something we can't afford to ignore, according to Dan Shuck, the author of A Glass Half Empty or Half Full, a children's book for grown-ups. Last month, the CDC released a study that reports suicide rates went up more than 30% in half the states since 1999. A Glass Half Empty or Half Full, a children's book for grown-ups, takes a new approach to addressing mental illness. The book playfully explores pessimism versus optimism to find balance, manage stress, and enjoy life. The book uses humor to provide an opportunity to determine the fullness of our own glass and how to apply it to our daily lives. Donations from the proceeds of the book will be made to a Glass Half Question fundraising campaign for the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation. A Glass Half Empty or Half Full, a children's book for grown-ups, is available from Amazon.com, Kindle, and Barnes & Noble. For more information, visit www.glasshalfquestion.com.